Hi, welcome everybody. And we're going to get started. We're doing the weight loss workshop today. So we're going to get started with some prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit, please help us to just be calm and at peace, especially as we go throughout our busy days, trying to take care of our children, trying to show up at our jobs. And especially after Mother's Day, sometimes we feel a little bit disappointed in the way things went or turned out. And please help us know that all good comes from you, that you are love. And we just ask Mother Mary during this month of May to pray for us and intercede for us. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. All right, so we're going to get started. I have a lot of things to cover today. So, weight loss workshop. So my name is Nicole Haugen if you're new here, and I'm a life coach for Catholic women, mainly Catholic women who work in healthcare, but I help all sorts of women. So we're going to talk about weight loss today. So when I first got into coaching, it was to lose weight. So I lost 40 pounds within like 3 months, and then kind of plateaued for a while, and now kind of finding that balance again. So that's kind of how I got started. That was what I initially wanted to do and change in my life, was to lose weight. And it's funny, as you lose weight, that other issues start to come up, which is again where life coaching comes in and has been very, very helpful in my life and helped me in my marriage, with my children, at work, basically everything. So, but today, again, the focus is weight loss. So I'm going to stick to that. So why we overeat. So 40% of Americans are overweight. So that's not including the American population that is considered obese. Okay, we're just talking about overweight people. So 40% of us are overweight. And I'm not sure when this data came from. It was probably pre-COVID. So I think also that probably even more of us now have maybe slipped into the obesity category, or even more people that were kind of borderline are now overweight. For me, I know in my family, there's a lot of diabetes and a lot of Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's now, they're showing that more and more that Alzheimer's comes from what we eat, processed foods, a lot of sugar. So for me, that was one of the main reasons when I first started was I wanted to set up healthier living. I wanted to show my kids a better example. And I also wanted to try to decrease my risk for diabetes and Alzheimer's. So our brain is very primitive, okay? Our brain likes to keep us in three things, okay? It likes to avoid pain, it likes to avoid effort, and it likes to seek pleasure. So back in the day, right, when we were cavemen, this was very useful. Okay, you wanted to avoid pain because pain meant danger. Pain meant you might die. You wanted to avoid any effort because if you exerted all your energy and then a tiger came out of nowhere, you might be too tired to run and you might die. Okay, and of course you wanted to seek pleasure because pleasure meant reproduction, right? Eating good foods, staying alive. Your species then repopulated. And so your brain is programmed this way, and it's a good thing. Okay, we love our brains. It's just sometimes now we don't need it to tell us the things it does because we're not living in caves with tigers trying to eat us. Okay, so when we currently feel panic, right? Right now, our pain is different than what it used to be. So we try to avoid pain and we scroll on our phones. Okay, we watch a Netflix movie. We stay up too late, right? We try to ignore our kids, right? Because it's super loud. Okay, that's us trying to avoid pain. So anytime we try to overdo things, we call it buffering. So let's say, for example, you look at your calendar for the week and there's so many kids' activities. You have all these things for work, You also want to organize your closet. It's now finally spring weather here. So you want to wash and put away all of the kids' winter clothes. Okay, you see all these things to do. Your brain cannot differentiate between a tiger trying to eat you and the panic you feel from looking at your calendar. Your brain gives you then a cortisol boost, like it's like, panic, there's a tiger, right? Not, it doesn't know that it's your calendar. Your primitive brain panics and then quickly says, oh, don't change. Don't do any of those things because that's scary, right? That's change, that's different, that will take effort. It's painful, so avoid that. And we're just going to eat junk food instead. Or we're just going to scroll on our phone and get nothing done. Okay, because so we're kind of stuck in this perpetual pattern of this. Our brains hate change, but they love sugar. Our brains are like a toddler, okay? Toddlers love candy, right? And we know sometimes we have to say no to our children, okay? When we're in the grocery store and our children are throwing a temper tantrum because they want candy right now, we know that it's okay to say no because we know that's what's best for them. But when it comes to us and our brain, we aren't able to separate that. Okay. We're not able to see as clearly, like, oh, no, I don't need that right now. That's really going to ultimately cause me more pain and continue that cycle. So we give in, and then you have a toddler brain that overreacts more and more and more. Okay. So we're essentially just like with your children, if you were to give them everything all the time, you would have a very wild and unruly child on your hands. And that's essentially what we are doing to ourselves. So I also forgot to say, if you have any questions or anything, put them in the chat box, chat or Q&A. If you want to be anonymous, that's fine as well. But if you have any questions while I'm going through this, just put it in the chat box, okay? So because of all this, because in our society, everything is so overloaded with sugar, okay? You even look at your fruits and vegetables now, they are giant, right? They're not natural. They're not like strawberries now are huge. Like they're like this big. Strawberries are supposed to be like when you really grow strawberries naturally, they're like this big. Okay, so we're so pumped full of insulin all the time because our body is constantly reacting to all the different sugars that we give it. And food companies know this, right? And so they've gotten really good at hiding how much sugar that you're actually getting. Okay, so the labels, they use tricky words. It doesn't just say sugar, it says glucose or sucrose, right? All those gross words, those are all sugar. Okay, and then just a little side note, the first three ingredients listed in the ingredients on anything, any packaging, those are the ones that are your main things. So if you look at something and it has sucrose as the first ingredient listed, that means it has the most sugar in it. Okay. So we are full of insulin all the time, which then means like our body doesn't know how to regulate insulin anymore, which is why a lot of people have type 2 diabetes, and even more now, like young kids, like teenagers are starting to have type 2 diabetes. Okay. Because our body doesn't recognize the food that we're eating. And so there's always insulin, and then it goes really high and then it drops. And then then we feed it. So it goes really high again in our body and then it drops. Like you're supposed to ideally have a steady insulin level. Okay. Also, our leptin is blocked. Okay. So leptin is what tells the brain when we are full or how much space there is left in our stomach. So when you're eating things that the body doesn't really recognize as food, the leptin is blocked and it's not able to tell your brain, hey, we're almost out of space here. Okay, so you just eat and then you get to the point where like, oh my gosh, I'm so full. I'm so stuffed. I'm overly full. right? Like that happens a lot to me, or it used to happen a lot to me. So what, of course it does, because your leptin is blocked. Your brain isn't able to get that message until you're so overly full that it's like, oh, wait a second, we probably should stop eating it. Okay. And that just gets more off and off, like the more you eat. Okay. And then we have ghrelin. So ghrelin recognizes the calories in your body, and it doesn't recognize empty calories. So like when you drink a pop, that has, I mean, like I think a bottle of pop has like 240 or 260 calories, right? That's quite a bit of calories. But your body doesn't recognize those calories. So you drink the pop, it's 260 calories that you just fed your body, but it doesn't feel full because it doesn't recognize it. And so then you eat pizza with it, or pizza afterwards, right? And then you put in another 1,200 calories. And the ghrelin is like saying, hey, we have more space as far as calorie wise, because it doesn't recognize a lot of the calories that you're giving it. Now, if you were to eat a salad that had maybe some berries, some nuts, a little bit of salad dressing, 260 calories of that, your body recognize, and it would say, hey, we're full, and it would be able to process through that a lot better. Okay, so hope that makes sense. Our hormones are so off because of the things that we're constantly feeding it. Okay. Now, with this, living in America, it is like a marijuana maze. Okay. So what that means is if you had 10 adults and you gave them marijuana, okay, I'm told marijuana like gives you the munchies, right? Like that's what you see in movies. Okay. Like I've never tried it, but for sake, we'll say it makes you really hungry. So America is like that. It's like you give 10 adults marijuana and you put them in a maze with all these pockets of food everywhere. And it's like you're telling them, hey, don't eat the food. You have to get through this maze as fast as possible. Don't eat any of the food because it'll slow you down. And you should feel amazing by the end of it. And you should love how you look, right? And then we're going to yell at you if you don't get through fast enough. So that's like our culture in America right now. Everywhere you go is high sugar, high glucose foods, right? Every birthday party, every holiday, every celebration. You go out with your husband. Oh, let's go have dessert. It's a special occasion. Okay. And then as Americans, we are told, oh, by the way, like you didn't do that. You should also, you're not skinny enough, right? Like you don't look like a supermodel. So you're getting yelled at constantly, telling you like, oh, you should fit in a certain size of jeans. Don't eat that food, but eat the food when you want to celebrate. Oh, and by the way, there's always celebrations, right? Like that's America today. So of course, to take some time and to just recognize that that's how our culture is. And I think also to not resist that reality, right? Like that's the reality of it. We can sit there and say, oh, it shouldn't be that way. Yeah, maybe, but it is that way. And so, how can you show up for yourself? Knowing everywhere you go, there's going to be food. Every time you turn on the TV, there's going to be food commercials. Even now, like you pull up Facebook or whatever, there's always ads about food. You go on Pinterest, there's delicious looking foods that you can make right at home, right? So just to recognize and have some empathy for yourself and some compassion and say, of course, I'm overeating. Like, of course I am. And then you throw in kids throwing temper tantrums, trying to organize your house, maybe homeschooling, working hours, like trying to get the kids to sports activities. Like all that feels like a tiger chasing you, and your comfort to avoid that pain is to eat. So of course you're doing it. Okay. And just speak to yourself with so much love and compassion. But yeah, like, of course I was doing that. So part of this too is also to recognize how you talk to yourself in relation to food. Okay. For the longest time, I would think about food all day long. Then I would eat the food, right? My crux is like, a wonderful cup of coffee from a coffee place. Okay. There's so much sugar, so much fat, so many calories, and they're all empty calories, but oh, it's so good. I love it. Okay. So I would be tired from working, and I'd say, oh, of course, you earned this, you deserve this. And so I would drink the coffee, and afterwards I would feel guilt and shame. And I'd be like, you shouldn't have done that. Why'd you do that? Look at how bad you look. You can't fit in your clothes. You don't deserve new clothes. Okay. Like I was constantly telling myself how I was messing up and how bad I was. So the the biggest part about losing weight is to recognize how you talk to yourself. Okay. So what if I told you that for the next 3 weeks, you are going to give up all flour and all sugar? All of it. No almond flour, no natural peanut butter, all flour and all sugar. I want you to just sit with that for a minute, and I want you to really think what is coming up. Is your brain saying like, oh, that's too hard? I could never do that. If I have to do that, that's not even worth it to me. Okay, so just think of what's all coming up. And if you have anything specific, like put it in the chat. Okay, I want to hear what's coming up when I say you're not going to eat flour or sugar for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Okay, so really sit with that. Because that is the work that we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to briefly cover the model here. If you've joined me before, I've gone over it every webinar, but I'm going to go over it again. Okay, so the model. Life is broken down into 5 things. You have a circumstance, you have a thought, a feeling, an action, and your result. So your circumstance is a fact. Okay, it can be proven in a court of law. So the fact might be, we're going to cut out sugar and flour for 3 weeks. That's a fact. Maybe your circumstance would be, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay. Your thoughts are the sentence you have in your mind that we may or may not be aware of. Okay. That we have about the circumstance. So when you say, I'm going to cut out all flour and sugar for 3 weeks, my thought when I first heard that was, I can't do that. Okay. That's my thought. Your thought then causes your feelings. So a feeling, we're talking about emotional feelings, is a vibration in your body related to the thought you're having. Okay. So the thought of, I can't do that, made me feel just shame, disappointment, because I thought it would be easier, guilt, maybe. But mostly it just felt really disappointing because, like, man, if that's what it takes to lose weight is to get rid of all flour and sugar, I can't do that. Okay. So I had the thought, I can't do that. I felt disappointed. And then your actions are either an action or inaction we take that's related to the feeling. So it can be something really obvious or it can be something really subtle that you don't even notice. And then it can be a change in your body language even, right? So the thought of I can't do this would lead me to eat more sugar, to eat more flour, to not be able to do it. And of course, my result is then I can't do it. Okay, so result is always the effect of our actions, but it always relates to our thought. Okay. So for example, let's say if I have the circumstance, okay, Mother's Day, right? And we can just put that in the circumstance line. It's Mother's Day. It's a date on the calendar. You can prove it in the court of law. This year it fell on May 14th, 2023. Okay. That's the circumstance. My thought about it was kind of throughout the day, I was working on it, was nobody appreciates me. So I felt some anger. I felt a little bit of neglect. Okay, so I would say the main feeling would be neglect. When I have the thought, nobody appreciates me, I feel neglected. And my actions were, I kind of snapped when I was having that feeling of neglect. I was snapping at the kids a little bit. I was upset at my husband. I I was spinning in my mind about all the ways that like they're not appreciating me. Okay. I wasn't vocalizing what I really needed or wanted. And my result was I was neglecting myself. Okay. So just to kind of go through and show you how our thoughts always give us a result. So with the work we're going to do for losing weight, if the circumstance is the longest I've given up sugar is 20 days. Okay. If you can prove that, and maybe it's only been 10 days, maybe it's been 40 days. Okay. You would plug in your seed, whatever the circumstances. The thought of giving up flour and sugar, and you think, oh, the longest I've given up sugar is 20 days. Okay. That's your circumstance. Your thought is, I'll never be able to give up sugar. Nope. I've tried it before. I'll never be able to do it. Okay. You feel shame. And then from your action, of course, you're going to eat more sugar, right? Because you're trying to avoid that painful feeling of shame. So you're going to eat more sugar. You're going to beat yourself up. You're going to watch TV. You're going to scroll on social media. And your result is you're going to end up eating all the sugar, right? So our results always tie back to our thoughts. So one of the things I want to teach you is to find your why. It's not enough to just be like, oh, I should lose weight, right? Oh, I would like to feel better. Oh, I should be healthier. I should teach the kids, right? Like when I kind of started out, it was like, okay, yes, I wanted to teach the kids, but really it was because I was fed up feeling overweight all the time. And I really hated getting clothes on at all, like to go to work, to go to church. Like I wanted to hang out in leggings all day and sweatpants because they were comfortable. I did not want to put on real clothes to have to go in public, and because it was horrible. I felt horrible all the time. So that was my real reason. My real reason now has shifted a little bit. And right now it's because I know that if I'm thinking about food all day long, I am not showing up to be a life coach for other women who need help. So I want you to picture this so clearly. So when I first started out, like I was picturing every day who I wanted to be. When I went shopping, I wanted to be the woman who just went to the rack and was able to pull a size 8 off and be like, I know this will fit. And the crazy thing is like it happened. Like, and because you go in now and like shopping all different sizes, right? Or like you go to this store and an 8 is fine, but then the next store you're at 11. Like to know so clearly that like you know your size that you can just hold it up and be like, yeah, that'll fit. Yeah, that's not a problem. To have such confidence, self-confidence. Okay, like find your should. And I don't even care if it's like, oh, I have a wedding coming up in 3 months. Like it can be any reason at all. Even if it's something like, oh, well, that's not like noble enough. That's kind of a shallow reason. It doesn't matter. Like that's your reason. That's what's driving you. Like I want to be a woman who shows up for other women through life coaching. And I know that I can't do that if I'm thinking about food all the time. And I wouldn't even say like, it's not even about like, oh, I think people like me more if I'm skinny. That's not true. Okay. Cause like, it's not true at all. I have more friends now. Actually, that's probably not even true. I don't know. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, people like you because who you are. Like, I've had friends that are overweight, had relatives that are overweight, and like, it's never been like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to hang out with them because they're overweight. Like, no, like I want to hang out with them because they're fun and awesome. It's always been about like how I feel. I think they're going to judge me. I don't think I'm skinny enough to hang out with them. Oh, I don't want to be the heaviest person in the group. Okay. When we think that, it makes us feel such shame and dread. And then we show up by eating more sugar. Okay. And of course we do because our brains are trying to get out of that painful loop that we're in. So envision who you want to be and why you want to lose weight. See it so clearly that you're just like, yeah, if I was like maybe even you want to be the person who goes to a party and doesn't even think about the food. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be so freeing? So find out how food is stealing your dreams. Okay. So for me, my time and my energy was all going to food. I would wake up in the morning, just like, okay, what should I have for breakfast? And then I'd eat, and then like it wasn't really what I wanted. So I'd eat a little bit more. And then I get kind of busy. So then, okay, that's fine. And then I get to the point where like I was really hungry and be like, oh, it's almost time to eat again. What should I make for lunch? What should I have? Oh, I should eat healthy. But then I really didn't want to like cut up a salad or get it ready. So, okay, I'm not gonna have that. Like, and then what am I gonna make for supper? Oh my gosh, like the kids are gonna be hungry. I should have had it ready to go. Like constantly, right? It was constantly stealing my time in my mind because I was thinking about food probably like 80% of the day. And then it was stealing my energy because when you're focusing on that so much, you're not focusing on other things. You're not just saying, like, nope, I've made this decision. And that's what I've decided. Okay. Like all of your time and energy goes into food. For other people, it might not be food. Okay. You might have other distractions. But really find out, like, for me as an overeater, as an emotional eater, I really got curious and I really like got serious about saying, okay, like how is the devil stealing my dreams? Because right now I spend 80% of my day thinking about food and sugar and wanting sugary treats. So I'm not focusing on my business. I'm not showing up great in my marriage. I'm not focusing on my kids. I'm thinking about food. And then to kind of get righteously angry about that and to say, no, devil, you're not going to steal my dreams. I'm not going to allow you to steal my time with my kids anymore. And then it gets easier to say no to the cake on the birthday because it's not about the cake anymore. It's about, I want to show up for my kids. I want to be present in this moment. And if having that piece of cake steals my peace and joy, it's not worth it. I'm able to say no. Right? So now part of this is I'm not going to give you a set up diet plan, right? I'm not going to tell you what to eat, what not to eat, because it really doesn't matter. You can lose weight and you can eat garbage food, right? Like basically your body just needs less calories in than it's putting out for energy, okay? So you could eat one bag of M&Ms a day with a pop and you would still lose weight because you're probably burning more energy than that. Okay? Now, is it healthy? No. Is it great? No. Is your insulin and blood sugar like this? Yes. So as a nurse, okay, I don't recommend that. But it really honestly doesn't matter about what you're eating. What matters is, are you allowing your feelings? So for example, for me, a big high point of overeating was when the kids would come home from school. So they get home at 4 o'clock and I would put out a snack for them. And most of the time it was like, I don't know, like a packaged thing, like some crackers, maybe cheese and crackers and meat, or goldfish, something kind of simple, little snack. So I would put that out for them and I would get bombarded with questions, homework, telling me about their day. All the while, I was also trying to make supper, right? Because I didn't want them to go, like, it takes what, hour and a half to like prep the food and then cook it. Okay. Most of the time. So trying to do all those things, my brain took it as a tiger is coming to get you. This is so painful. You need to avoid this pain. So quick, get a dopamine hit. Okay. And then I would grab whatever snacks they were eating. And then I would eat. And that wasn't really what I wanted. So I'd eat more. And then I would eat more. Okay. And then while I was prepping supper, I'd be eating more of that, right? Kind of snacking on the things. And then when supper was done, then of course, like I wasn't really even hungry, but I didn't pause long enough to be like, I'm not really hungry. I already ate a lot. And then I would just eat. Okay. Because that looked good. That smelled good because I've been standing here waiting for it to cook the whole time. So then I would eat. And then I would eat like bread with it, all the delicious foods. And instead of just saying, okay, like when the kids come home, it's a lot. It feels like literally like a tiger is chasing me and I might die. Like again, understanding my brain can't tell the difference. And so to just say, okay, deep breath. And I would just practice saying, I am safe. I am safe. And if I would start to feel very overwhelmed or stressed, you just take a minute and you allow the feeling. Okay. What that means is you sit with it in your body. You feel where it's at. Like for me, panic is in my chest. My heart starts beating fast. I get tense. I'm like, I'm ready to run, right? I'm panicked. So you sit that and I feel that. Okay. Take deep breaths. And I just like, okay, there it is. It's in my chest. Oh, my heart's pounding. Oh, now it's kind of radiating down to my arms. I notice my fingers are tense. I'm like clenched, kind of clenched. Like I feel tension in my shoulders. And when you sit with it, it passes away for 60 to 90 seconds. And then I ask myself, what do I need? Okay, so I already asked myself, how do I feel? How do I feel? I feel panicked. Just going to feel that. Passes away. Okay, what do I need? Well, I'm really just thirsty. Okay, I'm going to drink a glass of water. Then I learned over time to kind of find the habit, right? Like around that time, like I probably had gone with a water for most of the afternoon. So I made sure, okay, it's 3:50. I'm going to set an alarm. I'm going to fill up my water bottle with ice and water to make sure I'm getting hydrated while they come in the door because I know I'm really thirsty at that time and then bombarded with all the questions makes me feel panic and like I just need some water. Okay. Sometimes if I say, what do I need? It's just I need a minute, right? So I go to the bathroom. I have a lock on my bathroom, so I lock the bathroom door. Okay. It just takes 60 seconds to feel my feeling. Find a room that like the kids aren't going to chase you down, or even if they're pounding outside to just repeat yourself, I'm safe. Nothing has gone wrong. Okay. So we're going to allow that feeling. And then we're going to notice kind of over time how we're speaking to ourselves. Okay. I touched on this briefly earlier, but just to like show up with such compassion and self-care and to really focus on being a personal assistant for yourself. Okay. If you had a personal assistant and they were running around making their job was to make sure that your life ran smooth, how would you show up for yourself? So for me, it's I set my coffee pot up the night before. I just have to push a button. There's a timer on it, but it always goes wonky. So I just try to push the button, but can set it up with a timer. It's if I like a cup of tea in the morning. I'm not a tea drinker, but maybe you are, to have the cup out and to have like the tea, the flavor that I want ready to go. To make sure that, okay, I'm going to make sure I get my tea ready in the morning because that's what I like right away in the morning. To make sure my water bottle is filled. I'm trying to think what other things I do to make sure like I plan out my food the night before. Okay. Because to me, I want to know what to expect. So I don't have to think about the food. Okay. And that's kind of later on the list too. But if you were a personal assistant for yourself, how would you show up for yourself? Would you set out your clothes the night before so you don't have to make that decision in the morning when you're running behind? Would you have the kid, like I used to do this all the time with the kids, like I would have when I got up in the morning, I would set out their toothbrushes and put toothpaste on it because we had 6 kids in like 8 years. So it's a lot of little kids putting toothpaste everywhere. So it stressed me out. So I would just put the toothpaste, line them up. And then I would know too, like, oh, you didn't brush your teeth. Like, you didn't brush your teeth, right? What are some easy, simple ways that you can be an assistant for yourself? Okay. Maybe it means on Saturday, you ask your husband to give you 2 hours of time to say, hey, in those 2 hours, I'm going to do the meal planning for the week. I'm going to make a grocery shopping list. I'm going to have it all ready to go. So on Tuesday, I can go pick it up. I'm going to have it ordered and ready to go. Okay. Maybe it's just be more vocal about what you need. I know for the longest time, like I don't like to make decisions on certain things because I'd be so burnt out on making decisions for the kids all day long. And so when it would come to Mother's Day and I'd be like, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I just like, I don't know. I don't know. It would make me so panicked. Okay. To just be like, okay, what are ways that I can show up for myself? How can I be my own personal assistant? Okay. And then just recognize little things that come up along the way of like, okay, that worked, that didn't work. Now I'm going to try this. Okay. Oh, that really didn't work yesterday morning to have my tea set out because I just didn't like, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to decide to have my tea in the afternoon, but I'm going to get ready in the morning. Maybe it's to, again, ask for help on Saturday so you can take 2 hours to prep all the meat for the week. Maybe it's to cut up salad and make sure you have at least a salad for like the first 3 days of the week. And then on Wednesday, you ask or you plan for another set time to be like, okay, now I'm going to chop up salad for the rest of the week. Okay. What are little tiny things that you can do to be your personal assistant? Okay. And how are you speaking to yourself through all of that? Are you cheering yourself on or are you beating yourself up? Every time that you make a choice that like maybe isn't healthy, but it's really what you love, how are you talking to yourself? Are you beating yourself up? Or are you saying, hey, that's okay. Like, of course you ate that chocolate. Like, you had a really hard day. Like, I'm so proud of you because you ate one piece and you didn't eat the whole box. Look at how far you've come. Okay. Just really cheering yourself on. Like, hey, I know you drank a Diet Pepsi today, but it was one. It wasn't 6 like you normally do. I think tomorrow I'm going to plan one in just because I know that I love Diet Pepsi. And maybe then the next day you have 2 and just be like, of course you had 2. It's okay. Right? Like speak so kindly and loving to yourself. All right. And then think of your favorite food. Okay. What would it take for you to say no to eating that food? So, like I said, I love coffee, specialty coffees. So good. Especially when you find the perfect one. Okay. I also love any kind of like brownie, like bars, right? Baked good pies. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay. So, what it takes for me to say no is to picture who I want to be, who I want to be in my business, to picture so clearly how I want to look and how I want to show up. And then I'm able to say no to the cake and to get it so clear in your mind, right? Because, for example, let's say there was a pack of cigarettes laying on the table, and somebody was like, well, yeah, like they're delicious. Like, oh my gosh, they were imported from, I don't know. I don't know where cigarettes are from. Like, okay, cigars, Cuba. They're Cuban cigars. Like, you have to try them. They're so amazing. They're just the best. Would you say yes or would you say no? I would say no because I don't like smoke for one. I can't breathe. I have allergies. Like I know that smoking that would be more painful than having my reasons for saying no. But when it comes to food and we go to a party, we think, oh, I don't want them to feel bad. Well, just one piece, right? And it's never one piece. Like, oh, people are looking at me. They're probably judging me if I don't eat the cake. When the reality is, like, do you ever notice if somebody else doesn't eat the cake? You're too focused on your own thoughts, right? So just come up, okay? You know that the instant pleasure would bring so much more pain down the line. So you're willing to say no to cigarettes. Okay. You're willing to say no to heroin because you know, like I hear that crack cocaine, heroin, meth is amazing, right? Like it gives you such a high apparently because there's so many people addicted to it. But we say no to it all the time. It doesn't even cross my mind because I know that that instant gratification of having that wouldn't be worth the pain and chaos that it would cause in my life. And that is so clear in my mind. Like it's just a no. It's a no-brainer. Okay. So what would it take for you to be facing your favorite food and you just be like, no, it's a no-brainer. I don't want that. Okay. So really sit with that and think about that and see what comes up for you. Okay. And again, put it in the chat. Love to hear. What would it take for you to be able to say no? Would it take being able to fit in your favorite pants from high school? Okay. What else? What does it take to say no? Okay. So now some practical steps, easy steps. And then if there's any questions, we'll get to those. Okay. So again, be a personal assistant for yourself. Okay. How can I show up for myself? What are little things I can do? I'm going to make sure my water jug is filled with ice because I love ice cold water. In fact, I'm going to make sure that ice trays are full before I go to bed to make sure I have that water. I'm going to make sure that my water pitcher is full. I'm going to make sure my coffee pot is set up. I also set out my tablet in the morning to make sure when I'm going to exercise, I exercise Monday through Thursday. So I have that ready to go. I set out my exercise clothes the night before because I know that if they're not set out, like that's just one more reason for me not to do it. So I set them out the night before. Okay. Because that's what a personal assistant would do for me. So what are some things that you as a personal assistant would do for yourself? Okay. So Kira says, picturing me as a diabetic. So to say no to the cake and really picture it. Picture yourself like diabetics, they have to check their blood sugar multiple times a day. They have to check it often before they eat, after they eat. Then they have to give themselves a dose of some sort of insulin. So really picture that. Picture every time you go out somewhere or you do anything, you have to bring your little kit with you to make sure. You have to make sure that you have orange juice or whatever in your purse because if your blood sugar drops, you're going to have something. You're going to have it quick. Like my mom used to carry on these little tablets that you like put on your tongue. And she always had to carry something. And then she'd always have to carry her little syringe stuff. Right? Like picture that so clearly and look at that cake and be like, and then picture that little thing you're going to have to carry around with your needle and getting blood out of your finger. And I've done them before in nursing school. They sting. It's not like they're not great. Like, I mean, yeah, your skin gets dead into it over time, but like, wouldn't you just rather like not have to do that? I know I would. Okay. And then notice again, like your unintentional thoughts. Okay. So right now, maybe you're saying like, I hate my body. Okay. It's horrible. I hate it. I have fat everywhere. I have stretch marks from having kids. Like, okay. That's okay. Like that thought has been serving you. Your brain has been trying to protect you, but I don't want to live with that anymore. It feels horrible to think that thought. So I'm going to choose an intentional thought and then use what we call a thought ladder. Okay. So it's hard to go from I hate my body to I love my body because that doesn't feel believable right now, right? Like it's not believable. So maybe you start with, okay, I notice my thought that I have when I'm around cake or when I try on clothes is just, I hate my body, which then gives me a feeling of depression. I feel depressed. I feel yucky. I self-loathing. That's a good feeling. Okay. When I think I hate my body, I feel self-loathing. And then I show up, like I just eat, right? I eat and eat and eat to try to get out of that self-loathing, horrible feeling. I'll eat more. I'm on my phone more. I always feel behind. Like, okay. So then it's hard to go from I hate my body to, oh, I love my body, right? That's not believable. So maybe just start with, I have a body. Okay, that's true. I have a body. Then maybe over time, like, I like my eyes. I like multiple parts of my body. Oh, good, Kira. My body got me through lots of hard things. To maybe then I like my body. To then I love my body. Okay, so you can work your way up. You don't have to like go from I hate my body to like, okay, I'm just gonna think I love my body. Like your brain is not gonna believe it. Okay. It might work for a short amount of time, but over time, like it's not believable. So if you just thought like my body got me through a lot of hard things, I'm learning to appreciate the body I have. Okay. So again, feel your feelings. When you go to reach for more food, there's a reason you're doing it. And it's because you don't want to feel the feeling you're in. So just become aware of it. Are you stressed? Are you overwhelmed? Are you bored? Are you tired? I know for me, like being tired is a big trigger for me. Like if I did a lot over the weekend and I go into the week feeling tired, I really like I know that and I plan naps into my day because I know if I don't, chances are I'm going to overeat to try to compensate for how tired I feel. And I'm just going to keep eating. Okay. And then sometimes I don't show up great. Right. And that's okay too. Because I kept eating because that's what I needed at the time to get through the day, to be able to care for my kids, to be able to cook them supper. And that's okay too. I'm an amazing mom because I chose to show up for my kids. Okay. I'm an amazing mom because I took time to plan in a nap. So just cheer yourself on in ways that you can keep showing up. And then again, allow the urges. So when I see, let's say Oreos, okay, and I really want those Oreos, but I didn't plan for them for the day, I'm just going to allow that urge to happen. And I'm going to feel it in my body. And I'm just going to let it pass away. And oftentimes I like to think, what do I feel right now? What do I need? Okay. Because oftentimes it goes back to this. I'm really just tired right now and I'm thirsty. Okay. So I'm going to drink some water and I'm going to see how I feel. And then it'll pass away. Okay. And a lot of times too, when I was first getting in a habit of this, I'd be like, okay, I need to get up and move, right? Like I need to go for a quick 5-minute walk around the house. I need to do 5 jumping jacks, like do something to distract myself. Okay. Because those urges are going to be really strong when you're trying to reset your hormones in your body. And then last and finally, plan your food. Okay. And I always tell people, plan the food that you love. Okay. And then plan what you feel good about. So let's say you love Doritos. They're one of your favorite foods. Don't kind of go entirely to be like, I shouldn't be eating that. Because you'll go a few days and then when you do eat the Doritos, you're gonna overeat on them. So plan Doritos, but how many do you feel good about? Do you feel good about eating 20? Plan for 20. Do you feel good about maybe eating 5? Eat 5. Like it really doesn't matter. It's just about showing up consistently and showing yourself you'll be accountable for the food that you're going to eat. And you're going to make those decisions with your prefrontal cortex, not your primitive brain who follows urges and doesn't want to be eaten by a tiger. Okay. So, how do you tell the difference between allowing the urge versus resisting urges? Okay, good question. So, allowing the urge means you're going to feel it in your body. You're going to sit with it and you're going to say, oh, I really want those Oreos right now. Okay, like where am I feeling that at? What does it look like? What color is it? I'm having an urge right now. Okay. Versus resisting an urge means you're just trying to like willpower your way through it. Like, oh, I'm just not going to eat them. I'm not going to eat them. Okay. Because eventually you can resist urges, but if you don't allow the urges, like, and just allow them to pass away, if you're constantly resisting, you'll get tired, your brain will fatigue out, and then you'll end up eating them, but then eating probably more than you want as well. So did that answer your question at all? So again, just allow that feeling in your body, because an urge is just an emotion, right? Like, to allow that emotion, feel that vibration in your body. That's all the feeling is. It's a vibration in your body, and allow that, and just become aware of it, right? We're not going to do anything about it. It's fine. Nothing's gone wrong. Okay. Whereas resisting an urge is more like, this is bad. This shouldn't be happening. Okay. You're kind of in denial. All right. Awesome. Any other questions at all? Otherwise, I might try to do another. Okay, tips for when you're hangry. Great, love it. Okay, yes. So when you plan out your food, I always tell my clients to plan them out, to plan extra food. Okay. So typically I don't really eat breakfast, but when I'm trying to reset my body and trying to get my hormone levels balanced again, I plan for breakfast, I plan for midday snack, I plan for lunch, I plan for midday snack, and then I plan for supper, and then I plan for an evening snack. And the beauty is that, for one, like, then your body is more even keel of like regulating your insulin. Okay. We're not trying to starve it and drop your insulin to then be like, oh, I'm starving. Like, I'm going to give in and I'm going to eat all this sugar and then I'm going to starve it again. Okay. We want to have, even if it's like, even if you're planning to have, let's say, yogurt in the morning. Okay. And then for midday snack, maybe a bagel, and then lunch, maybe a sandwich, right? Like, a lot of times people be like, oh, shouldn't be eating all those carbs. Like, nope, doesn't matter. You're going to plan foods that you love, and that'll make you feel satisfied. Okay. And that you enjoy. So for one, then your body won't be like this all the time and you won't be getting as hangry, right? For two, the other thing that really helped me was to know when you have the physical sensation of hunger, it will go away. And so a lot of times, like, if we're busy, right? If we're running the kids somewhere, if we're trying to get somewhere and we forgot breakfast and we get hungry, like, it passes away, right? So just to know, and again, to allow those feelings of like short temper, anger, right? Frustration, and just to know, like, nothing has gone wrong. My body is doing what it's supposed to do. It's good to feel hungry. It's okay to feel hungry. I would tell myself that one a lot. It's okay to feel hungry. Okay, because we, of course, like, your primitive brain, of course, like, hunger is bad, right? If you're hungry for any too amount of time, like, it means you'll die. So go get food. But we live in a time and place where food is so plentiful and so abundant that mechanism saying, oh, you got to eat all the time, really isn't helping us anymore. So just to say, it's okay to be hungry. Like, it'll pass away. All right. Like, I know a lot of people, or a lot of places now, say like to fast. So, what I would do is, like, when I first was trying to lose weight kind of quickly to jumpstart it, I would stop eating at about 6 o'clock at night. And then I wouldn't eat breakfast. So I wouldn't eat again till 11 a.m. So I had a window where I would eat food between 11 and 6. And then I would fast for like, what is that? Like 15 hours or something. And then to just know, like, when I felt those hunger pains, like, my body was going into those fat reserves that I had. And so I got to a point where it was like, I was almost excited to be hungry. I was happy because it was like, oh, good. Like, my body is getting regulated again. Like, it's going into those fat stores. Like, my body is doing what it's supposed to do. It's going into like all that I've stored up and it's eating that away. Okay. So, Kara, is that helpful? again, like the main thing when you're hangry is just to be like, to feel the feeling and then to just know like nothing has gone wrong. Like it's okay to feel hungry. This will pass away. It only lasts a few minutes. Okay. And then, a few hours later, you'll start to feel hungry again because that's your body's natural response. And then, if you're trying to cut out more calories and stuff, I would try to plan for a time where like that hunger feeling went away, but before it comes back even stronger, right? Plan for like a little snack. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So I hope this was helpful. If you are looking to start to notice your unintentional thoughts and way that you would like to get back on track with eating and some more tips, come and join me. I do free discovery calls with people to see if I'm the right coach for you to help you get started on your weight loss journey. Or maybe you're just struggling more with like life in general, like summer's coming up and kids have a lot of activities planned, like, and how to organize your time, manage your mind around any of those things. Come and chat with me about anything, really, anything you're struggling with in life. I'm an amazing coach. I can coach you through literally anything. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. Next month webinar, I believe I'm going to be doing on bullying in healthcare. So stay tuned for that. There'll be more emails coming out and information about that. But in the meantime, come in for sure. Book your free discovery call. Come and chat with me. And I'm praying for you and let's go change our world.